That the keys are in fact yours. Your opportunity to start from a position of strength, your opportunity to stake your claim, to mark your territory, buyers. You've got that chance now. We have a very reasonable reserve price set by our vendors here today with one thing in mind: to get the job done, to get the property sold. So we are certainly here to sell. If you're here to buy, this is your moment, your time. I've had my say, time for you to have yours now, buyers. Where can I see you start? A few shy bidders among us. I'll get cracking with a vendor bid at 590,000. I'll ask for 6 in the rise. At 590 the bid. At 590,000, bargain basement buying at that at 90. At 590,000, 600, sir. At 600,000, welcome, best of luck at 600,000, even money now. At 600,000, fairly been offered to make it 10 in the rise. At 600 I have. At 600,000, there's the bid, the competition, the opportunity with you all. At 600,000, fairly been offered now once. At 600,000, are we done? At 600,000 for the second call at 600,000. Done. Finished. At 10 now, 6, 10, 20 if you like, sir. At 610,000, the bid's here now at 10. At 610,000, fairly been offered, 20 got now with a nod of the head at 20. At 620,000, got to be 30 in the rise. At 620,000, fairly been offered now, 30 can say, 30 got. At 630,000. At 30 in the bids back here, my left, your right. Opportunity with you at 30 now, make it 40. At 630,000. At 630,000, fairly been offered now at 630. First call at 630,000, done. At 630,000 for the second call at 30, we're done. Finished. Third, final call at 600. At 35, why not? I'll take the 5 short of my stride. Give the same courtesy, sir, at 40 now. At 640,000. At 640, it's back against your bid, sir. Your 5's still good with me if it's good with you. At 640,000. At 640,000, the bid's here now at 40. At 640,000, fairly been offered. At 640, the bid.
42,500.
At 42.5. At 45, I'll go with the 45 for the same courtesy. Again at 5 if you like. At 45, I have welcome and best of luck here today. At 45, make it 50. At 645,000. At $645,000 the bid. First call at 645. Are we done? Bids there, sir, against you. Second call. At 50 now, 650,000, strengthen your position there. Love to see it. At 650 now. At 650,000, at 2.5, at 652.5. At 652.5, and we are selling, aren't we, Daniel? At 652,500, we're on the market. We're selling here today. If you've come to buy, you have to show me your interest now via bidding or forever hold your peace, because we do sell 652,500 on the market and selling now 652.5. I'm not going inside. I'm not seeking instructions. My instructions have been given. They are to sell. So if you've come to buy, show me now at 55.
500.
At 500, 650, at 54, at 654, 53, and 54 now, 55, and welcome back at 55. At 655,000, we're on the market and we play for keeps now. At 655, at 655,000, fairly been offered now at 655 the bid. At 655, at 655,000, fairly been offered now once. At 655, are we done? At 655,000 twice. At 655, done, finished. Third, final call, 655 the bid. At 56 now, and welcome back at 56, back against you, sir, 656 the bid. We're on the market and selling, make no mistake. No second chances here today, 656,000 bids here, keys are here, 656 the bid. First call at 656, all done. At 60, and a great bid at that.
56,500.
I'm not taking half, so make it 1.
57.
At 57. At 657. At 657,000.
58.
At 58 now. At 658. Can still say 60, sir. It's not too late. At 658,000. Or perhaps you might like to say it first. At 658,000, the bid's there now. 658 the bid. At 658,000, fairly been offered. 658 on the market, selling. Bids there, keys are there. We sell away now once. We sell away twice. I didn't take his, I can't take yours. At 658. He's going to get very angry with me if I do. 59. Can I say 59? At 659, 60, sir, if you like. At 60, got. At 660,000. At 660,000, we're back here now at 660. At 660, the bid. At 660,000, fairly been offered now. 660, I have. At 660,000. At 660,000, bids there, keys are there, on the market, selling. 660, the bid. We sell away if there's no better bid at $660,000 now. We sell away once. I'll take the half, why not? Same courtesy, sir. Half if you like. 660 and a half at 660,500. 661 will get you back on top at 660 and a half now. At 660,500. 660.5 at 660 and a half now. At 660,500. Fairly been offered. Bid here back against you for $500,000 if you like. At 660,500. Fairly been offered. 660,500. First call at 660 and a half. Done. Twice at 61, at 61 now, at 661, at 661,000, the bid's there, at 661 and a half. Welcome, best of luck, never too late until the hammer falls. Glad to get you involved now, best of luck here today. Can you just confirm that bid for me, Vita? 662 and a half? 661 and a half. My apologies, at 661 and a half. We may get there just the same. At 661,500 bid there. 62 if you like, same opportunity here. Or give me a bigger bid and break the gridlock. At 661,500, 661,500 the bid. At 661 and a half now. At 661,500 bid there. Keys are there. Can't let them buy it with one bid. You work so hard, sir. At 661,500 once. At 661 and a half. Done. At one, sir, 662 and a half? At 62. At 662. At 662,000. Bid back here now. What about 65 in the rise? At 662,000. Fairly been offered now. 662 the bids there. At 662. At 500. 662 and a half. Could have saved you some time back then. At 662 and a half, we got there just the same, and we're back here at 662 and a half. At 662,500, I got that right this time round. At 662 and a half, and the bid's there. At 662,500, was that a half, sir? 663 now. At 663. At 663,500s aren't working, try a bigger bid. At 663,000, fairly been at 64, and that's better. At 664. At 664, she's upset, throwing her toys out the cot. 664. At 664,000, fairly been offered. At 65 now. At 665. At 665,000, bids there. Back against you at 500. 65 I've already got. At 665 I've got 66 now. At 666. At 666,000, fairly been offered. 666, 666 is over there. Are we absolutely done? At 666,000. First call at 666, are we done? Second call at 666,000. Done. Finished. Third. Final call. $666,000 the bid. All at 67. Welcome back, sir. At 667. How about 70? At 667,000. Bids back there. Big bids buy property. Small bids show the competition. There's room to move. At 667,000. At 68. At 668,000. At 668 and the bid's at 668. Are we done over here, sir? Definitely done?
I'm not sure, we'll see.
You're not yet? I don't plan on being here all night, sir. At 668. At 668, the bid's there. At 668,000. Once at 668, are we done? At 668,000. Twice at 668. Done. Finished. At 500 now, 668 and a half. At 668,500, bid here now. At 70, and we got there in the end. At $670,000, sir, and it's against your bid. At 670. Are we done here, sir, ma'am? Are we done over here? Thank you very much for your bidding here today. At 670,000, bids there, keys are there. Once at 670, done. Twice at 670. Third, final call at 670. It's going at 670,000. Need to know and a half now over here at 670 and a half. At 670,500. At 670,500, bid back there now, 670 and a half. At 670,500, the bid. Opportunity with you now. The keys are there as it stands though. At 670.5. 670,500, the bid. At 671 and a half. At 671 and a half now. At 671 and a half, bid back there. At 671 and a half, still considering your position here today, sir. We're done over here. Thank you very much for your bidding. At 671,500, fairly been offered here, my right, in front of you, but the opportunity's with you. If you tell me to sell to them, I will. At 671 and a half now, 672. At 672. At 672,000. At 672,000, the bid's back there now at 672. 1,000 at 673, at 673, at 673,000. $500 bids are not warding them off. Try a bigger one at 673,000. Fairly been offered there now, 673. We're on the market. We sell today. No second chances, no second prize either. At 673, at 673,000. Bids there, keys are there. Once at 674, at 674 now, at 674 and a half. At 674 and a half and 75 and a half, at 675 and a half, at 675,000, just like that. We run out of gas, surely not. At 675,500, the bid's there. As in my experience, so there's always a little bit left in the reserve tank. At 675 and a half, are we sure we're done? At 675 and a half, and the bid's there. At 675, 500 now. Once at 675 and a half, done. Twice. At 675 and a half, done, finished. Third, final call, 675,500.
678.
At
Sorry,
676. At 676, I've done that before too, Dan. At 676, bid back there now, 676. 600, how about 680? At 676,000, the bid's there. Might take a big bid to send a message to the competition that you're here to buy and that you won't be stopped. 1,000 at 677, at 677,000. We're still done over here. Sir, we're done over there, definitely. It looks like we are. At 677,000, bid there, you never know. At 677, at 677,000, bids there. At 677, the bid. At 677,000, fairly been offered now at 677. You're definitely done now. First call at 677, all done. Second call at 677,000, done. And a half at 677 and a half. Ball's back in your court. Opportunity with you, but the keys are there right now. At 677 and a half. At 677,500. Fairly been offered now. At 677 and a half. 500. At 500, 678. At 678,000 now. At 678. And we're back here at 678 as you predicted, Daniel. At 678. At 678,000. Fairly been offered. Over there at 678. They have the keys. 678 the bid. Once at 678,000, done. Twice at 678, done. Finished. Third, final call at 678 and a half now at 678 and a half. And 9 at 679. Surely 680 beckons now, sir, at 679,000. 80 might be the mental barrier to the competition. At 679, bids there, opportunity with you.
Sorry, that's it. That is it.
At 80?
No, that's
Oh, that's it? Are you sure? You forgive me if I have trouble believing you, sir. You've lied to me a couple of times along the way today at 679,000. I'm going to let it marinate with you just for a moment and I'll check back. At $679,000 the bid. Once at 679, done. Twice at 679,000, done. Finished. Third, final call at $679,000 the bid. All done, all finished, all silent, all out at 679. Definitely done there. You're definitely out, sir. Thank you at 679. Tell me you're out and I'll sell. At 500, 679 and a half. Got to be at 680 now. At 679 and a half now. At 680, the quick retort at 80. Definitely done now. Looks like you might have it at 680. Definitely done. Thank you very much. For some reason, I do believe you now, sir. At 680,000. At 680 now for the first call at 680. All done. Twice, 680 the bid. Done. Finished. Third, final call, $680,000 the bid. All done. Finished. Silent out at 680. Out. Out. Definitely out. Definitely done. Thank you once more. We're selling. Selling, selling, sold! Congratulations, well bid. Please join me in congratulating our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed